These Dwarf Korean Lilacs have just finished blooming, and we're going to take a look at shearing them to keep them in this perfect globe shape. Isn't this beautiful when that's in flower? Just an unbelievable, perfect little small patio tree is what I like to call them. Now, I've done several other videos on pruning the lilacs. You can take a look at this video where we cut back a Dwarf Korean like this one, where the customer said, hey, this is just getting too big for me. So we took off almost 2 feet of growth and it came back beautifully. So that was one thing you can do. You can do what I call a partial rejuvenation, bring them back, let them start over. You'll skip 1 year of flowering. Okay, so the timing. If you want your lilacs to bloom every year, and you do have to prune them, either because you want that shape or they're just getting too big, you want to prune your lilacs right after they're done flowering. What that'll do, it'll stimulate some new growth and give it plenty of time that season to set new flower bud. We're also going to be setting flower buds on these inner branches that we don't cut. But by doing that pruning now, we'll have at least 3, maybe 4 months more of growing. So after we do this shearing, you can just enjoy that nice globe shape, but make sure you don't cut off that growth in the fall. Just let it be, and you'll get a beautiful bloom again in the spring. Let's go ahead and get started, but a quick look at our blooms in there that are just finished. You can see that is on the last year's growth when this was pruned up. And then we'll be cutting off about, it looks like about 6 inches, 4 to 6 inches all the way around this plant. Yeah, this is just a beautiful location for these 2 Dwarf Koreans. Look at how perfect they are, same size, very balanced. I just love how that looks. One thing you want to make sure you do, prune back these lower suckers that are coming out. That's below the graft point. Dwarf Korean Lilacs have a graft where they put it on a rootstock of the Japanese tree lilac. So if you let something like that go, it's a completely different leaf, completely different look. So keep those trimmed back. I usually like to start on the ground on these, and I just kind of work my way all the way around at just above my shoulder height. Then we'll go after the sides as well, and then we'll get on a ladder and we'll finish it off with the tops. One thing that's easy to do is to cut a little bit too much on the top, and you can get kind of almost a mushroom look. So if you want that perfect globe look, there's often times you don't have to prune much on the top. I mean, we might just be taking off 1 inch or 2, and that way we won't get that flattened top look. I do find on the Dwarf Koreans, the Hedge shears, I personally like it just a little bit better than using the automated. Yeah, you can cruise through with the automated. You can never seem to get that perfect angle. You can also bite in with the automated, cause some damage. I don't want to do that. The main thing though, you just want to prune it every year if you don't want it to get bigger than this. You could let these go, and I have seen some almost double this size is the biggest I've ever seen. This is one of the shorter lilacs out there. The Dwarf Korean oftentimes just grows as a shrub form on the ground too. The bloomerang came out, was supposed to be, I thought, pretty small, even smaller than Dwarf Korean, but my bloomerang, man, that thing, it's got some size to it. It's getting up over 6 feet tall. We did a full rejuvenation on this as well, brought that back to about, oh gosh, look at that, about 2 feet, came back gangbusters. And we did get bloom on this the same season, because that's a repeating bloom or an ever blooming lilac that it'll bloom. It doesn't take a full year for those flowers to set bud. Do some brushing in between. Sometimes the shorter ladders work just a little bit better on these shrubs. It allows you to kind of get up in there a little bit, whereas a bigger ladder forces you out. So we'll probably use a combination of ladders, but I like this little 2 to 3 foot step stool for these type of projects. Oftentimes I can get it all the way across by putting that ladder at different positions. I usually find myself going around the plant several times. It seems like you never make it just the way you want it in one passing. I don't think I mentioned at the beginning of the video the exact timing of this project. I'm in the northern Great Plains Zone 4, and we're shearing our lilacs today on June 14th. Different lilac species can bloom at different times, so the main thing is to wait for the blooms to finish before shearing if you like this more formal look. We'll step back, take a look at this, see if we've got a pretty uniform all the way around. Yeah, I think that's looking really, really good. Nice shape. Okay, let's go ahead. We've got one more. Let's get started on our next one. Okay, we're just putting the finishing touches on our second Dwarf Korean here. We'll step back, take a look, and we'll go ahead and get started on cleanup. How long did this all take? About, 30 minutes per plant, including cleanup is about the time frame. So if you've got the space for a dwarf Korean, let's say in that 6 to 8, maybe up to 10 feet, you can most certainly leave this tree alone most of its life and just let it continue just to develop out. But if you like that sheared look, or you've planted it too tight into a location, you can certainly do this shearing every season. But keep in mind, anytime you start doing that shearing, you're going to get that formal look, and that may or may not be what you're after. Thanks for watching this garden hike. I appreciate it. We'll see you again next video.